I've listened to a lot of professionals across a whole range of agencies who talked about best practice, talked about the good things that had been happening, and felt that in some ways they were already doing it. When you talk to the families would tell you that it wasn't right, that there was a lot of work still to be done.
The most important thing that made us change the way we were working was actually listening to parents and carers. And they were saying, you know, the services just weren't effective. They couldn't get hold of the right person, and they were being passed from one person to another before they actually got the service they required.
It's about empires, it's about protocols, it's about how agencies are set up. I mean, we're all supposed to be working for children as far as I'm concerned. But you know, X's budget is to do with that, and that government officer wants that, that local authority's plan is for this range of, you know, implementations. So people get very precious about things. I mean, I'm precious about the school and about the kids we work with, but you know, if we're going to kick on and move on, we all have to just say, like you say, it's a no-brainer. We're here for kids. Let's not be too pompous about what we do and just crack on with it. The early intervention is key. I've got children here who will be leaving at 19 and who have left at 19 who shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be here at all, because if they'd have had a designated social worker, designated speech and language therapist who could actually go in and do something, designated OT, designated whoever, right at the very beginning of school, for 4 or 5 years, we wouldn't be having children who are now still here, who shouldn't be here, who should have had the help and the support and the language development and the family development. I've got families of 19-year-olds who will come to annual reviews and cry their eyes out because independence development hasn't happened. They haven't got buddies, they haven't got a network of people to support them, they don't know the entitlements of benefits. Should have been done 15 years ago.
The simplest of things, like being able to access support, or wanting to find out information. It isn't about the very difficult cases that we sometimes have. You know, sometimes it is about probably a child who could be a year, 18 months, family obviously have been through a great amount of trauma because, you know, they've had a baby and it has additional needs. And it's sometimes about that family just contacting us and saying, where can I find this information? How do I deal with this?
I was recently delivered of twin girls. Throughout the pregnancy, all were normal until the birth of both girls, and one of them has Down syndrome. So a bit of a shock for us, but we're slowly coming to terms with it. They're now 5.5 months old. For us particularly, it being such a shock, if you like, because we weren't prepared for it, there was that moment of despair, I think, that all parents go through when they have a child with special needs, that perhaps the professionals weren't there for us, albeit their intentions were great, they just really weren't there, and that's where Team Around the Child has stepped in, really, filled that void.
In talking with parents, children and young people from the area of disabilities, they very much want us to be nearer together, communicating much closer and having single processes rather than them having to use a variety of different routes to access services.
Like, one person was telling me to do one thing and then another was telling me to do a completely opposite thing. I think it was the nursery worker at Shawstart in Birchwood who said about how she would be better off having TAP meetings and everything, support and whatever, and just stuff to help both of us, really.
I think it's about the most important lesson we've learned is about it's listening. It's listening to what parents want, and the parents and the child are the most important part of the work we're doing. It's also listening to professionals as well, because the professionals will tell you that this way of working is so much better.
It isn't easy, and it's easy to talk about it, but actually getting people to change the way they work, to just simple things about sharing their forms and looking at different ways of bringing that information together. Systems, IT systems don't talk to each other, so different formats, different use of language. We've been trying to break that down so that we can come up with a simple, seamless assessment that families can participate in. They understand it. It's a clear, one process, one form, one set of information that can be built up for the child. And it tells a child's story, tells all professionals what service has gone in, what the child will need in the future.
She actually attended one of the TAC meetings, I think it was the first or second one. Every time no one was talking to her, she used to sort of like shout out like, "I'm here, I want my say," and everything. It was lovely.
It's important that children have a say.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Why do you think it's important they have a say?
Because they have rights as well, and you know, I mean, they're human beings as well as us. So, you know, I mean, when she starts talking, I don't think she'll stop.
Well, Team Around the Child for us, from our point of view, has, for one, it's got rid of that wealth of paperwork that we were just handed. I mean, we were handed leaflet after leaflet, booklet after booklet, and told, you know, to read through them, and all of a sudden you'll become an expert in your child's needs, and you'll know what you're entitled to, and you'll know what to do next. And that clearly doesn't happen, because every child is different. Even though they may have the same disability, they're different within that disability. So Team Around the Child brings all the experts that are involved in my daughter's needs together. It therefore gives us the opportunity to be told what we should be looking for, lets us plan the next 6 months. I mean, she's only 5.5 months at the moment, so it's early days, but it lets us look to the next 6 months ahead with the experts telling us what we should be expecting, what we should be thinking about, how we should be planning for her. It saves us wading around their different offices and getting half a story. They're all in the one room together, so we can get a complete programme and a complete view. They also can talk to one another, of course. You've got your health visitor, your doctor, the physio. So rather than them trying to contact and get half a story, you know, they're getting it all at one place. And in some respects, it empowers us as well, because we can then dictate, if you like, what we'd like to see happen in the next 6 months.
I've learnt over the last year the importance of the multi-agency working, the team approach to supporting the families and the children to ensure that they receive the best service and the best provision that's available to them. From the experiences we've had with multi-agency working, it's made a huge difference to the children and the families. It's ensured that the children have received input from all the relevant agencies. The parents have had a coordinated approach. So they're saying to us they've had less meetings to attend, less appointments to attend. It's been very much coordinated, so they go to one meeting. All the professionals can discuss everything at one meeting, and then actions set, which are then acted upon. So the families feel that they're achieving a much better, more successful input for their child.
I think that if we can make sure that continues with the support of the authority that we have now, then it shouldn't be just about 3 schools doing it. It could be a hub in every town, it could be a hub in, you know, every village, every school, and to have multi-agency working can only help not only our youngsters with, you know, high level need, but also youngsters who are at the risk of, you know, teenage pregnancy or falling off the end of the, you know, the mental health register. If that sort of idea is replicated, then it can only be successful. But I just get so annoyed that it's taken 50 and 60 years to get it sorted. It's not about me being a social worker, him being a head teacher, her being a speech and language therapist. Try and just get past titles and just get on with work, because we haven't done our jobs as professionals if we cannot, at the end of however long these kids spend in our school, look them directly in the eye, or their parents directly in the eye, and ask if we did a good job. Because if they blink, we haven't, and we shouldn't have been in the job to start with.